Started, if I could just ask, any of you have cell phones and pagers to put them on silent mode. I know we probably all have those devices here today. Also, there will be roughly 7 or 8 speakers here concerning the operation that has gone on. Been several months of investigation that has gone into this operation as well. What I would ask you to do is just hold off until the end. There will be a short period where there'll be some questions and answers regarding certain aspects of the investigation. I'd just like to introduce some of our speakers today. Rutland City Mayor Chris Loris, Captain Thomas Nelson of the Vermont State Police Drug Task Force, Captain Scott Tucker, Rutland Police Department, U.S. Marshal John Edwards, Sheriff Steve Bernard of Rutland County, United States Attorney for Vermont Thomas D. Anderson, Assistant Attorney General Annika Frostic, and Rutland County State's Attorney James Monjone.
Good afternoon. My name is Captain Scott Tucker from the Rutland City Police Department. And what I thought I would do is give you a brief overview of how we're here today, and then the rest of the speakers will fill in a lot of the gaps for you. So at the end, we will take some questions. There's an array and a vast amount of experience here in this room, so hopefully we'll be able to answer them all for you. In 2007 and then going into 2008, Rutland City had a number of violent crimes, and many of them had to do with drugs and violence. In February, on the 4th in 2008, a man by the name of Carlos Vasquez, age 29, died in an apartment on Grove Street here in Rutland. This was clearly a violence related to drug activity. At that point, Chief Tony Bossi and Mayor Chris Loris decided that we needed a more collaborative approach which would involve all of law enforcement. And these are clearly the public face. These are the public face of the law enforcement community that assists and helps in every facet of law enforcement throughout the state of Vermont. And we're very happy to have the reputation that we have in the city. We're happy to have the reputation of the federal government and county and state government here, and all their representatives and all the resources that they have to offer when things look like they're getting out of control, particularly in terms of drugs and violence. So in February 7th, 2008, Mayor Loris had a request for a special board meeting. The Board of Aldermen convened to discuss drug-related violence. And some of you folks were there at the time, and we had quite a discussion, and a lot of people attended. After that meeting, Chief Bossi invited many of the people who are standing here in this room today, and we had what you might consider a mini summit, and everybody put their heads together and said, what can we do? And there was a plan put together over a number of weeks and then put into action, and today culminates a certain amount of that plan, although today is not the end of everything that law enforcement will do in the Rutland County area, and particularly in Rutland City. On March 24th, 2008, Senator Leahy and Senator Specter convened the United States Senate Judiciary Committee here in the city, and the hearing was on the topic of the rise of drug-related violent crime in rural America. And the idea was to find solutions to this growing problem. Speakers in attendance were Mayor Loris, Chief Bossy, Superintendent of Schools Mary Moran, Commissioner Tom Tremblay from the Department of Public Safety, Mr. Colston, and Mr. Clavens. What we've done over the last 90 days or more is a completely collaborative approach to deter drugs and violence. And the message for the residents here in Rutland City and Rutland County is to express to people who would do violence and who would conduct themselves in the illegal trade of drugs is that the Rutland area is not open to drug dealers and we're not open to violence. Some of the goals we tried to achieve here was to identify people and places who were frequently involved in drug transactions. Our second goal was to share intelligence and information with state and federal, county and local authorities, to facilitate investigations, to follow up on investigations, and to further future enforcement activities. The third goal was to engage in both proactive and reactive enforcement efforts to deter criminal activity. And the fourth goal is to disrupt local drug supplies into the Rutland area and again identify and arrest violators at the state and federal levels. This is something that I believe we achieved and folks will talk a little bit more on that. Right now I'd like to introduce to the city Mayor Chris Loris.
Thanks, Scott, and thank everyone who's here today. Just to get a little bit more of a historical perspective with how we got here today. Late last year in '07, I approached the governor, members of the Vermont delegation to Washington, D.C., and the Rutland area delegation in Montpelier, and told them that what we needed down in the Rutland region more than anything else was help with the war on drugs in the area. As I said, this was late last year, before several of the tragic events that took place in Rutland proper had occurred. I came to that conclusion after discussing with the Rutland City Police Department from the top down, from the chief to Captain Tucker to Lieutenant Gino, the officers on the street, and to the detectives, that we needed to do more and we need to have more resources to battle a scourge that's been plaguing Rutland for quite some time. The governor was very responsive. Our legislative delegation to Montpelier was very responsive, and it appeared that we were going to be making some headway. And unfortunately, before we had a chance to enact anything, there was the tragedy that occurred on Grove Street, the murder, or the killing, rather, that took place on Grove Street, and heightened the sense of awareness throughout not just Rutland, but throughout the entire region. As I said, I went to the delegation in Montpelier because this is not just a Rutland City problem. I spoke to Representative Sinapura from Brandon, Bob Helm from Castleton, and people throughout the county, because this is not just a Rutland City problem. This really is a regional problem. That being said, we know that Rutland is the hub of not just the community and its economic efforts and economic development, but the bad things that come with being a hub as well. And I must say that I did remain blissfully ignorant of this operation. I wanted to remain blissfully ignorant of this operation because I had spoken to Tony early and said, I don't want to know operationally what's going on until it happens. I don't want advanced knowledge. I didn't want to have one more person knowing what was going on that could jeopardize an operation of this scale. Tony just told me starting February, I remember the conversation, he called me on the phone and said, we had a talk with folks from the federal government, state government, and he goes, good things are going to happen. That's all I needed to know at that point. And I said, good, knock yourself out, and let me know what resources you need for the operation, and I'm going to work on the resources going forward, which is what we've done with the federal delegation and the state delegation and through the governor's office as well. So I will be hearing things firsthand, just like the press and the public are going to hear at this point. I can't lend anything to what happened operationally because I don't know what happened operationally. I just know that I want to thank everyone who's involved, the federal government, the state government, and especially to our local guys, and the county as well, to make sure that this operation came off without any hitches and successful.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Tom Nelson of the Vermont State Police. I'm in our Detective Division, the commander of the Special Investigations Unit, and the commander of the Vermont Drug Task Force. And I'm pleased that we had a very successful ending of our operation here this afternoon with the arrest of a large number of dealers of drugs in this region. The task force, if some of you are not aware, is a multi-agency unit that is run by the state police throughout the state. We have sheriff's officers, municipal officers, and state troopers that are specially trained in narcotics investigations, undercover work, and all of that goes along with it. We're very pleased to come down here as all of us in Vermont could see a little bit of an escalation of the violence that goes with illegal drugs. Very happy to have had the opportunity to work with the Rutland City Police Department, the Sheriff's Department. Our barracks is down here, Uniform Division, our Detectives Divisions, the United States Attorney's Office, the State's Attorney's Office. I'll apologize now for missing somebody. We worked very hard to try to make sure we covered it in the release for you today. What you're seeing on today's roundup is some intensive undercover work that's gone on for a couple of months in conjunction of all the agencies and with our investigators in the task force. And then today we brought together no less than 50 police officers from all of our agencies, the federal agencies, ATF, DEA, state police, sheriff's departments, all our barracks. Chief Brickell and the Brandon Police Department were here in full force. And we went up and rounded up these folks that we know are dealing drugs in the community. Pretty confident that the support we've gotten from the prosecutors, the support we've gotten from the mayor's office, state's attorney's office, that we're going to have some very solid prosecutions going forward today. And this is going to have a very good impact on the region with regards to illegal drugs. We've had the opportunity to work on this model of a joint operation and of a multifaceted undercover type operation dealing with illegal drugs a couple of times, the other being Granite Streets and Barrie, and this one being Marble Valley in this region. It's something that we work very hard at, strive to be good at. It's a way that we can affect those dealing illegal drugs on a more of a grand scale than on an individual investigation. A lot of the details are in there with regards to the arrests that were made, so those will speak for themselves, and we'll have our prosecutors and others speaking as well, and I will answer questions after when you have them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming today. I'm Tom Anderson. I'm the United States Attorney for the District of Vermont. Operation Marble Valley demonstrates that when federal, state, and local law enforcement and prosecutors work together, it's a force multiplier. Over the last several months, a community of law enforcement has worked together to make the Rutland community a safer place. I personally want to acknowledge the leadership of the Vermont State Police, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Rutland City Police in this operation. The planning and resources that these agencies have put into this operation should make every Vermonter proud. I also want to acknowledge all the law enforcement agencies that made today a very bad day for drug dealers in this area, including the Rutland County Sheriff's Office, the United States Marshal Service, and the Brandon Police Department. Finally, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge the prosecutors that put the cases together. Assistant U.S. Attorney Craig Nolan from my office in Rutland, Assistant Attorney General Annika Frostic from the Attorney General's Office, and Rutland County Deputy State's Attorney Peter Neary. Today's arrests and indictments are not the end, they're a beginning. Drug dealers and those that illegally possess and use firearms will find no quarter in Rutland City, in Rutland Town, in Rutland County, or anywhere else in Vermont. Vermont law enforcement, federal, state, and local, are committed to using their resources to identify, arrest, and prosecute those that spread misery and violence to our communities by dealing drugs. As part of Operation Marble Valley, 21 defendants have been indicted by a federal grand jury sitting here in Rutland in 4 separate indictments, which are at the end of the table for you to have. These indictments charge distribution of crack cocaine and distribution or possession of crack cocaine. In addition, 3 defendants have been charged by federal court in federal court by criminal complaint with federal firearms offenses, including Tammy Lynn Waite. She's been charged with making a false statement to a licensed firearm dealer in connection with the acquisition of a firearm. According to the criminal complaint, this weapon, a Taurus PT-25 25 caliber handgun, was recovered from Waite's apartment on February 4th after the Rutland City Police had been called to that location on a report of on gunshots being fired. This firearm was found near Carlos Vasquez, also known as Lowe, who was lying on the floor with an apparent gunshot wound. Vasquez was transported to the Rutland Regional Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. The criminal complaint also reveals that Waite illegally purchased this firearm for Vasquez on January 31st of 2008. This investigation is currently ongoing. As I said, copies of the federal indictments are at the end of the table, and also with the criminal complaints that have been filed in federal court either yesterday or today. Thank you.
I'm Jim Mojon, Rutland County State's Attorney. One of the hallmarks of Rutland County has been the cooperation of law enforcement over a number of years. And we continue to see that cooperation today. And this is an important aspect for the citizens of Rutland City, Rutland County, as well as the state of Vermont. The good working relationship between the United States Attorney's Office, Attorney General Sorrell's office, specifically with Annika Frostic, who is handling a number of the cases today over in District Court, and my office, working with the police agencies, set a tone, if you will, set a threshold on which everyone could build from. And that is what we see today in regard to the culmination of today's operation. The indictments, which, as Assistant Attorney Anderson has noted, are available for you. The District Court charging, which will be available for you also, I believe, at District Court, certainly at the end of today and tomorrow, all indicate the level of work which was done at the levels of local police, the Sheriff's Office, the Vermont State Police, the federal authorities in regard to each of these areas and each of these defendants. We look in my office to the level of evidence that we have in regard to cases, but also how that person fits into what is going on in regard to the county, what is going on in regard to matters as it involves others. And so oftentimes we develop and we look to these sources of information and we provide that information to the police. Police exchange that information with each other and it leads to more developments. And as a result, a multiplication of the results that we can have from a single arrest or a single conviction. I want to thank all the participants in regard to the operation today, because I think that Rutland County knows that there is an interest by local, state, federal law enforcement authorities, local, state, and federal prosecutors in regard to doing good work, so therefore Rutland continues to be a good place to live. We look at individual developments as they occur, individual tragedies as they might happen. And in each instance, we look to what can be done to improve the quality of life for the city of Rutland. So I want to thank everybody for all of the work, starting with U.S. Attorney Tom Anderson, and all the way through to all of the law enforcement agencies, and to the work of the Attorney General of the state of Vermont, Bill Sorrell, and his office.
I'm Steve Bernard, I'm the Sheriff of Rutland County. This effort that started with an event that happened in Rutland City is truly one of the best cooperative efforts I've seen in 29 years of law enforcement in the state of Vermont. It's brought together, as has been said, over 50 police officers today, near 100 throughout the progression of this program. This isn't the end. This is going to be a continuing effort. It's not something that was started and that culminated today and stops. The operations will continue through the funding of the State Sheriff's Association. We've started a second prong to this. It's education in the schools. Through that funding, we're going to be able to bring a drug program to every elementary and every high school in the county. So it's not something that ends. It's something that truly affects every town in the county and truly affects every citizen in the county. So hopefully through the education and the continuing effort and the continuing support of these agencies, we'll be able to continue to fight this drug problem. Thanks.
I'm John Edwards, the U.S. Marshal. I was very pleased when U.S. Attorney Tom Anderson asked us to be involved in this, to let you know how important we think it is. We have 10 of our people down here. That's all but one of our people that are assigned to the District of Vermont. A lot of people have emphasized that this is not the end of this operation, but almost the start of it. And one of the things that the U.S. Marshals, we think we're very good at, is running down fugitives and serving warrants. And as some of these people that are on the arrest list abscond, we will be here to make sure that they get brought back to Rutland County to face the music. We also plan to be in the area later this summer as we obtain some grant money to run down and try to arrest violent criminals that have active arrest warrants. Again, I'll be glad to answer questions later.
We'd be glad to take any questions from the meeting.
What are we looking at here?
Jim? This is Jim Mosley. He's the President Agent in charge of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
These are firearms similar to that have been involved with the investigations in the Rutland area. As you're reading some of these indictments, firearms have been stolen from residents, purchased from gun stores, and traded for illegal narcotics. Through undercover investigations with the ATF and the Vermont Drug Task Force, we have had people come from outer state in an attempt to get firearms from Vermont and trade for crack cocaine with the intent of bringing firearms like these back to Albany, New York City, and places beyond. All these are similar to weapons that are involved in the investigations from the onset of this whole investigation from the beginning. This is just some of the firearms that are involved. There's many, many more. We've had some burglaries. One defendant there is upwards of 30+ firearms he stole from numerous burglaries around the area, all of them traded for narcotics in this area. So that's just one of the cases that we have.
How many firearms did you seize today?
I don't have the specifics on that, but they are open investigations, so I can't go into the exact details of what we got today, but the investigations are ongoing, and as we speak, there are agents still in the field working today on these gun investigations. So I can't go into many of the details.
This is not the best case.
No.
What's the largest?
That is a Mac 11. It's a semi-automatic pistol, but it can be converted to fully automatic. That is a weapon that has been requested numerous times of ATF undercovers to trade for crack cocaine.
And the others are, what do I call them?
Handguns, pistols, sawed-off shotgun.
These weren't part of this investigation.
Similar to these. I can't actually bring the ones that are in evidence as we speak that are part of this investigation, but these are very similar to what was being dealt in this area, in the Rutland area.
Mr. Nelson, you might be able to answer this. You know, obviously drugs, it's an issue of supply and demand. You've got some of the supply off the street, but the demand is probably still here. So who's to say that there's not going to be another 29 or 30 dealers moving in to feed the apparent hunger that addicts must have here?
Probably be wise not for them to do that. I think this would represent probably one of the biggest blows we've struck in the area, I think, for a long time, if not for quite some time. And what we get out of this, and we've seen before in the past, is it's not the end with the arrest. The solid prosecutions that are going to come out of these cases are going to put people in jail that will not return to the community. They'll have a deterrent effect that we can't measure, the people around them and their associates, and it'll probably cause some people to leave that decided to come here to sell drugs. The demand issue is the issue we have in our society everywhere, not just Rutland. And we work with that, and the sheriff mentioned also a new program with regard to education and that part of it. So.
I think you could also answer my question. I'm hearing from the mayor that he kind of maybe got the ball rolling here, and I'm pretty strong. This problem is, but why did it take so long if it's been a problem, a growing problem here, that this had to take until now?
For an operation
Yeah,
like
of this size. I mean, why did it just keep building and building? Why wasn't it stopped or kind of handled?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that we're a small state with small communities and small law enforcement agencies. Even when you look at it on a countrywide basis, the state police is relatively small in numbers. I think we work better together in this state than the rest of the country, personally. But it didn't take so long. Day in and day out, the narcotics investigators with the Rutland Police Department are doing cases. And day in and day out, the task forces across the state doing cases, drug cases. What we did here was the worst byproduct of the illegal drug trade. The illegal drug trade is the violence that comes along with it. We stepped in to assist with Rutland, all of us, with all of our specialties, to bring about this operation and punch them in the chest, if you will. So we hope we've sent them reeling, and I don't think we're going to stay. We're going to follow up. There'll be investigations we aren't going to be immediately public about in the future, and so what we've done is a foundation for keeping things a little better under control, or stopping things before they start, and sending things out of here to begin with.
Is the sweep over? Are there still more people that you're going to be arresting in the next few days?
I think we had a chart here for you. Unfortunately, it's been delayed. It may arrive with all the folks that were sought, arrested, and are still wanted. And they'll have the basic information for you for your reports. It probably will arrive here before you leave. And I think, if I'm correct, the numbers are at 6 that we are still wanting at this point with regards to these cases. We're not talking about one case here, as been mentioned before. We're talking about probably closer to 50 investigations over the last 3 months. Our numbers were 41, I believe, defendants total out of all of the cases we put together in the last few months.
Is it possible to get headshots, mugshots, whatever, of all the people involved?
That's what I was talking about, and that is on its way here. It was delayed in transport. It would give you the mugshots and things you use for your reports. So if you hang in there, it should be here for you soon.
You can email that as well. You email that. It's going to be on the website. It's on the last page of the release that you have.
Okay.
There's a link that will have mugshots of all those individuals involved.
I'm sure. Sorry for the confusion, but the release says that you've got 12 in federal court and 17 in state court, but Tom, you were saying that there were 21?
There's 21
Plus 3.
There's 21 defendants charged in the indictments. I know a couple of those at least are in already in jail somewhere, in state custody. There are a number that have not gotten picked up today on the sweep. There's a couple that are just, whereabouts are unknown at this point. So there's a total of 21 defendants indicted, either indicted or charged by complaint in federal court. So, and 12 got picked up today. They were being presented in court as we speak.
So
in
that
federal
would
court
be
today.
9 more?
That's
Right, so that
your math is right. Jeff.
Well, the numbers are going to fluctuate for the next day or two.
Okay.
Why people are in custody, people are still being sought, and paperwork is still being compiled for others.
I know 2 of those federal defendants are in custody on other charges.
So does that mean 41 people have been charged? Is that what you're saying?
In
41?
federal court, 20. I think 24 total have been charged in federal court. The indictments and criminal complaints are all here, which have all of the all of the individuals, and I think the press release has all of their names also.
I have a question on the second prong of the operation. We keep hearing about the three-legged stool in terms of, fighting drugs and education and prevention is one of them. Will that be a collaborative effort that you're going to be bringing into the schools such as this? I mean, when can we expect that to happen?
That is already happening in the county schools. We've already started with Fairhaven, Benson, Polteny, high schools and elementary schools, and it's something that's going to continue starting, the school year is ending now, but it'll be starting again in September.
New tactics and new strategies, or is it
No,
just
just a continuing, it's new funding. It's funded by the Vermont Sheriff's Association through my office. And that way we're...
So it's not like it's a new initiative that you're going to...
No, but it's certainly something that we're very cognizant of. The education component with the youngsters is a key thing to ending this problem, or at least...
This might scare them a little bit.
Well, it's not only scare, but it's also education. You know, if you can take kids at a young age and teach them that this isn't the right thing to do, you know, hopefully we'll be able to control this problem in the future.
Thank you.
I just have one more question. Why do you think Rutland, he was talking about, is it the demand here? Why is it so bad here compared to other parts of the state?
I'm not sure that it is. I think what you're seeing is, you're seeing a concerted, proactive approach by the city of Rutland in terms of how we're going after drug dealers. And what we have seen, and we're not happy about it, but it's occurring throughout rural America, is increased violence related to drugs. And what we're doing here is we're making as many arrests as we can. From the city perspective, we've made probably over 400 arrests over the last 5 years in terms of drug trade. How can we stem the tide? Well, this is one of those efforts. I think the captain spoke very well and said this is a punch in the chest. It's not that we're not doing anything. We're doing things each and every day. And in addition, we start talking about the prevention aspect in education. We have 3 SRO officers, school resource officers, in all of our schools here, assisting the superintendent and all their principals. And we do some education with regard to DARE. But we educate every single day in terms of our contacts with our kids, talking with them, getting them to trust law enforcement, and to talk with us about what's going on in the community. And we enlist them in terms of ways to make their home safe, ways to make their neighborhood safe. Rutland United Neighborhood is another aspect of a collaborative approach that has been going on in the city for many years, probably since at least 1999 to 2000. And in times where we feel that things are not as well controlled as we like, we need the assistance of additional resources. Additional resources come from the state and federal government. The state police, we're talking about that today, can bring in a couple of people from each barracks. It doesn't hurt them, and yet we have, you know, this undertaking, which is 50 to 100 police officers being put on a problem here, and I think very successful. You know, the apprehensions so far today have been numbered about 29. But there's cases that are ongoing, and it doesn't end here, it didn't start here. But these are the faces of the people that make things happen in your communities and throughout the state. And I think we have a tremendous amount of talent, not only in this room, but throughout the state. And we'll do everything that we can to keep our communities as safe as possible.
I'd like to address that question as well. I had said before on other occasions that Rutland will not and has not stuck its head in the sand and pretended a problem did not exist. This situation is not specific to Rutland, either the city or the county. As was said earlier today, it's a statewide problem, it's a nationwide problem. It's a question of whether or not you want to attack it head-on or pretend it doesn't exist. And throughout the entire state of Vermont, I think there's been from the federal law enforcement officers who serve in Vermont, the state law enforcement officers that serve in Vermont, to our local and county-wide municipal officers. There's been the recognition that we've got to tackle this. And fortunately, the resources have been brought to bear at this time. But like we said before, and we can't hammer this enough, this really is just the beginning. It's a culmination of 3 months worth of very hard work by some great professionals, but it doesn't end here by any means. And I would recommend this to any community, not just throughout Vermont, but throughout the nation, that that wants to deal with the problem, because they've got it, whether they realize it or not.
I don't know who wants to answer this, but is there any violent resistance during the arrest today? Any officers harmed or suspects?
No, everything went well. We put it, when we came to this point in the operation, we put a lot of planning into it, and we had a lot of manpower that we drew in from all the areas. Approached it very systematically with regards to radio communications, with regards to officers' equipment, officers' teams. We had 4 canine units. One of who's here today needs to be paying better attention. But he's probably tired. He's got to work tonight too. 4 canine officers were here from different agencies to support the arrest teams, and they went very well. All the arrests went very well.
Say something about Tom's voice. I didn't see it in here, but did you mention in here how much drugs you netted and what types they were? I see that there was, a conspiracy to distribute 50 grams of cocaine, but I don't know if that was actually taken into custody or not.
I don't know what on the federal indictments, I'm not sure what the exact weight of each indictment was. I can tell you that some of the defendants were arrested for distributing or conspiracy to distribute in excess of 50 grams of crack cocaine, which carries a 10-year mandatory minimum. So the total number that was actually seized in those cases, I don't have that number right now. It's probably something we can.
Was it strictly crack cocaine? Were there other drugs that were?
I believe there were other.
Yes. We did not total, and but we did have heroin sales, cocaine, powder cocaine sales, crack cocaine sales, other narcotics, miscellaneous, and I think we had some marijuana
Any
cases
sign of
in
meth?
as well. No. We didn't do a sum total, and an important thing to understand too on the federal side is historically to the investigation. It doesn't only go to an incident, say an undercover case, it investigates the entire activity of the dealer way through.
Is there any way to gauge how much of an effect these arrests are going to have on the supply of these drugs in Rutland County?
Intelligence-wise, we have the Vermont Fusion Center that tracks the trends and tracks the drug cases. We have the VCIC that tracks the arrests and the trends in the cases. We will look at that, and I'd say we're not finite about it, but we're confident it will have an effect, and we'll continue to have leads and other investigations out of what we've done here. I'd like to expand too on the comment a little bit with the homicide and some of the violent incidences that occurred several months ago that led up to our joint effort. They gather a lot of attention, obviously, because they're tragedies, but problems exist elsewhere, and the city has done an outstanding job of addressing them here. To say that Rutland is worse than other places, I don't agree with it. But we're very happy with our results today and how we've addressed the illegal drug problem. We're not done, and we'll be going to other places as well.
By the way, referring to that shooting, which sort of was the catalyst for a lot of what we're talking about today, one name I looked for on the list and I haven't seen yet, and I just thought I'd ask, any idea of the location of Mr. Shelton, the individual who was let go after the shooting he had taken around? And
That's pretty much still an active case that we really can't discuss here.
That investigation's ongoing. So,
you guys are looking for him?
all I can tell you is that investigation is ongoing.
Okay, if there are any more questions, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.